So it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. We're actually at this vineyard, and Teo is out here, and he's getting some samples of the Primitivo grapes from this grower. He's going to bring it back to the lab and test it out to see what the quality is like before he buys from this specific grower. So here we go. All
un amico di montagna. Lui compra e vende.
So now Teo's gotten all the grape samples he wanted, and so we're heading back now. Okay, so Teo is explaining to me Primitivo is primarily the best Primitivo DOC. It comes from Manduria, but we're at the moment in Puglia. So what he's doing here is he's collecting samples to be brought back to the lab to test and you know, see how good the quality is, so then he can buy from this grower. So that's what we're doing here. So exciting stuff. I tasted some of these grapes, you know, as you expect. Very sweet. Beautiful. Manduria, and literally about 1,000 meters from the ocean. In fact, way back there you can see some blue, and that's the ocean. So the soil here is very different. As you can see, it's like really red, and it's clay, but it's also sand. More sand than there is clay here, and I'm told that there's a lot of iron in the soil, as well as aluminum. So that, with the salinity from the ocean, gives this area a unique terroir. And you know, obviously the Primitivo here is very well known. This is actually the region for Primitivo. And then, I mean, this is just a beautiful vineyard up here, and as you can see, Teo is back out here again taking samples, and I just wanted to walk down here and just check out the soil here. Just red. You can tell it's full of iron, and it's you know, it's clay as well. Beautiful. This is an incredible opportunity. And again, these are growers that feed the buyers that buy and then make the wines. So it's just fantastic. So here we are with another vineyard, also in Manduria, but this is very different because we're not close to the ocean, and if you look at the clay, look at the soil here, it's more clay, not a whole lot of sand, and it's not as red as the previous place that we were at. It's still Primitivo, it's still the same grape, but very different terroir. And we're probably, I don't know, I'm guessing here, maybe about 3 or 4 miles from where we were before. So things changed pretty drastically. And again, there. See some of those grapes. Taking some pictures as well as grabbing samples there, tasting. And he's randomly picking the samples from different vines. So the interesting thing here is the vines are all planted kind of facing east and west. I'm sorry, take that back. Facing north and south. So the sun is actually hitting it on the side. So as you can see, the sun is behind us, and so it's actually hitting it sideways in the vines. I wonder how much of an effect that has in the quality of the grapes. I just tasted some from this vineyard, and yes,
Appassimento on the plant, natural appassimento on the plant.
Oh yeah, okay, so this is naturally occurring.
Test one of these.
Yes.
It's very sweet, very concentrated. Wow. Very.
So that's good.
Wow.
Very good. Yep. So the natural is
It's very dark. Also the color is very concentrated. No?
Okay.
Not a lot of liquid must, but very concentrated. For red with very high level of alcohol.
Okay. So yeah, it's I've been tasting the grape at all of the places that we've been, and you can right off the bat tell the difference in the taste itself. So we are at a different place now, still in Manduria. So this one is interestingly planted differently. Here the vines are going north-south, so they get a lot of sun in the morning as well as the afternoon, as opposed to the previous vineyard where it was planted east-west. So I asked Teo if there was a reason for that, and basically what he was saying is it just depends on the amount of land they have, and them trying to maximize as many vines as possible in a short space. Usually north-south planted vines are probably the best because they get the most amount of sun exposure. If it's planted east-west, then you have a lot less exposure. But at the same time, he said the grape should be shielded from the sun, the afternoon sun, at least in this area, because the afternoon sun is very intense, and direct sunlight on the grapes is not a good thing. The leaves, of course, it's great to have a lot of sun, but not directly on the grapes. So I'm standing right here, and there's pretty much a bald spot here. There are no leaves, and you see all of the berries, and they're all exposed to the sun right there. So I'm assuming that's not necessarily a good thing, just right here. But as you move along, you can see that there's a lot of shade. Like for instance, right there, you see a lot of the berries are behind the leaves, and you know, that's fine. So very interesting. Everything's you know, there are a lot of subtleties here that I'm learning about things. You know, you go to a wine tasting or whatever and visit a winery, you know, they, to an untrained person, looks, you know, pretty much the same. But just in this last 2 hours with Teo, I've learned quite a bit here. So this is an excellent opportunity for me. So I wanted to get this on video because I will forget. After the last vineyard, we were talking a little bit in the car, and Teo was saying it's important. There are a couple things that are important with the grapes that, you know, when he selects them, they are important factors. And one is the skin itself, right? You don't want the skin to be too thick, and you want it to be sort of, you know, thin-skinned. Those berries are a little better. And the second thing is the actual seeds. You don't want them to be green. They should be more brown. And he showed me a couple of seeds there with a few berries there, and you could tell that it was sort of brown, sort of green. So you don't want that. It's not ready just yet. Maybe he said another week or two before harvest, and it should be good to go. So the third factor is how the must actually separates from the skin. You want that to happen fairly easily. So if the grapes are too young, that's not going to happen. So anyway, just wanted to capture that while I remember that in this video as well. And then when we take a look at the soil here, it's a little darker than the previous one, and you know, to me, based on what they have told me, that means there's probably a little more iron content in the soil than before. So there we go. Okay, so we were on the Ionian coast earlier with the Primitivo in Manduria. Now we've come over to the other coast, the Adriatic, and it's Negramaro land over here. Okay, so there's all of the clusters of grapes. Just amazing. Just very different from the Negramaros. These vines are. And so again, Teo's here, but check this out. Just huge clusters, very different. The Primitivo was just very, you know, the bunches, the clusters were very small, but here you are with these huge clusters. Anyway, see what else we can learn from this here in a minute. So I forgot to mention, this is all Negramaro. We're in Brindisi. Brindisi is where a lot of the Negramaro is grown. Salice Salentino is the area, and we did mention earlier we're on the Ionian coast now, the other side. Huge clusters. Look at that. That's just amazing. And the soil, it looks lighter to me. More sandy, I would think, than clay. But I will find out from Teo how this terroir is different from where we were earlier, Primitivo in Manduria. So I was talking to Teo there a little bit, and then he said, yeah, these are small bushes, right? Small vines, I guess, compared to, by the way, we're close to the Brindisi airport, and there's an airplane that just took off. Anyway, so these are all, you know, look at that vine. It's self-standing, and they're all pretty small, and kind of, you know, Albarello is what they call it, which means, you know, this little ones. Again, huge clusters, and the berries themselves, to me, look a lot bigger than. So Teo was just telling me to take a look at this particular vine right here, and that it's very old. I'm not sure exactly how old, but these are vines that are pretty old in general in this area, and you know, they produce the best grapes. So I suppose you could tell by how thick the vine is and how old it is, just like, you know, a tree maturing through the years. I tasted the Negramaro, and yeah, I mean, even in just tasting the grape, you could tell a difference. I'm not sure if, you know, wasn't as sweet as the Primitivo grape, but that's one difference I could tell. All right, so we're still in Brindisi, and this is Grillo, so the white grape. As you can see, Teo was pointing out that it's very golden in color. I think you guys can see that right here. Very, very kind of gold than green, you know. So this is Grillo. Again, we're doing the same thing here. He's going to take some samples and taste a few stuff. Interestingly, right across over here is more Negramaro. So this part of the vineyard is all Negramaro with those big clusters, and then over here we have Grillo. And again, look at these clusters. They're just so big. Look at that one. Just amazingly big, I think. And interestingly too, look at the bush in between the vines. You know, it just doesn't affect the quality of the vines, I suppose, because the roots are so deep. They go under, it doesn't matter what's in between. So.
In this place is very famous this kind of grape, because because in the past it's used for martini wine. This is Grillo, another kind of grape, you know.
Yeah.
You
So
can
this
see.
is Grillo,
This is Grillo, yeah.
and that was Malvasia
Malvasia Bianca.
Bianca.
We have another kind of grape.
So the berries are smaller here in the Malvasia
Yeah,
Bianca, and
Bianca and Grillo.
the Grillo is
The
different.
weight.
It's amazing how he can just tell the difference. They're right next to each other. Guess that's the experience.
Grazie.
Tutta,
This is
tutta, tutta.
a table grape.
Tutta, prendila tutta, bravo. E prendi